last year? If you would, take a trip down memory lane with Jared.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Jared just had a very special anniversary. I think it was last year.
He doesn't look 15 years old.
He doesn't look 15.
No, yeah, that's his original. Yeah, he's
15 years of keeping it off.
15 years old.
Remember
He
Jared?
does.
Remember Jared? Remember Subway? Subway, somewhere there was the logo. Oh, it's not. Oh, there it is. It's very small right here. Subway restaurants. Celebrating 15 years of staying fit with Subway restaurants. Can you believe it? I'm proud to reach this major milestone in my commitment to leading a healthy, active lifestyle while inspiring millions of others to do the same. Click below to read more about my story. I didn't click below to read more about a story. I know what his story is. He's Jared with the pants.
Pants.
That's how I remember Jared.
Yes.
That's Jared 15 years before.
Right.
When he first ran the ads on Subway. Because I remember seeing that. I was teaching statistics on the East Coast at the time, and I said, Jared, thank you for giving me the perfect example of how to talk about outliers. This website doesn't exist anymore. It did. Subway.com/subwayroot/me/////// It doesn't exist anymore. You can see why when you read what was on it. Go ahead and read that.
If any. Are not typical.
Yeah. See, being a trained stat guy, I'm always worried when I see Jared, or I see a diet commercial, or I see this 51-year-old grandmother of 3 lost blah, blah, blah on blah, blah, blah. Okay. Meanwhile, in 4-point font at the bottom of the screen, you see what I have in red bold italics right there. Results not typical. Or results may vary, right? I love the fact that they even put the results are not typical. What is the definition of an outlier? Not typical data.
Yeah.
Unusual data, right?
Right.
So if Jared's not typical, think back to my Blackboard experiences, right? All I do is I hear how much Blackboard sucks, and I make the assumption that the average viewpoint of a student is Blackboard sucks. Was I right? No. Because I was making my decision based on the outliers.
Yep.
So why would you put Jared in your ads? If right here, individuals lost weight by exercising and eating a balanced, reduced calorie diet that included Subway sandwiches. Has nothing to do with because of Subway sandwiches. That was just a small part of it. Why isn't Jared doing jogging commercials? Or you called me nobody? Because I read that. I know, Linda. I know what you're saying.
You're an outlier.
Because the outliers jump out at you. It's funny, I put a little post, you'll see it on your schedule page for today, a fun little mathisfun.com, wonderful little website. I found a neat little write-up with outliers on it, and they drew a little picture, and they were pointing to a number line with an outlier on it, and it had an arrow with a finger, and it said, out, comma, liar. But I love that. I love that. Another interpretation of the word outlier, right? It's a little harsh, but go ahead, Sandra, you're going to say something, go ahead.
And it said the sandwiches with 6 grams of fat. And most of people go in, they're not going to order a sandwich.
You want mayo? Hell yeah, I want mayo.
Yeah, there's only 6 grams of
Hope
fat.
wear a funny hat, put some mayo on that thing. Yes.
Yeah.
And 3 cheeses, yes. All those, the orange one, yes, go.
Right.
Yes. No, absolutely.
Yeah, they missed
But we
that
hear
point.
what we hear, we read what we read, and we don't always process every little in and out. Good, thank you. Your loss, if any? I mean, this is fraught with the idea that Jared was the most extreme data point. And therefore, we might want to think twice about assuming that is the average result, because even by Subway's own words, it's not the average result. Is that fair?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, here's the question I have. Here's the pants, here's Jared. That clearly is an outlier, right? That's clearly an outlier.
Oh, that's not nice.
So, no, I'm just saying.
Here's the pants.
I'm just saying.
I know.
So, my point is this. Obviously, Jared lost weight. And did they say how much weight?
200 pounds.
Was it 200 pounds?
Because losing over 200 pounds.
Oh, there we go. But is that, hang on a second.
Was he?
No, it must have been. It must have been. He must have been that extreme. He dumped. Okay,
Yeah.
so obviously negative 200 is an outlier. Is negative 150? But by the way, that's a trick question.
Probably still.
We don't know is the correct answer, right? We don't know if it is. It wouldn't be if negative 200 were an outlier and there was a negative 170, a negative 160, a negative 150, a negative 172, a negative 180, a negative 169. Remember what an outlier is? It's an unusual data point. If there's so many that are near the 150, it's going to be hard to say it's unusual at past the point, right? Is that fair? So it's a loaded question when I say what isn't an outlier, because we haven't metriced it. Can we use Kelly's idea up here with the 2 standard deviations? Not right now, because we have to know what 2 standard deviations is before we can use it, right? I mean, obviously he's out of them according to Subway, but only Subway knows what in would be and therefore what out. In other words, there's a range of data somewhere existing. Subway must have it somewhere. And they've said, okay, anything lower than this and bigger than this is too small or too big. Jared obviously is down there. But what is the dividing line? That's what I want to spend time with today. I want to find those dividing lines. Okay? Now you've already got one of them. This is one of the most commonly used. For bell-shaped data, anything outside of 2 standard deviations is called unusual. So generally, they rule the middle 95% as typical and the extremes as atypical. So a 95% trimmed mean or a 5% trimmed mean, I guess we call it that, or 2.5%, however you define it. Good? But let's look at some other data and see if we can establish other rules for non-bell-shaped data. Let's collect some right now. Okay, ready? To the nearest inch, got my shoes off. To the nearest inch, estimate my height.
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause I told you yesterday.
yeah.
Hush. Hang on a second. Without bun.
Oh, by inch.
Up nearest inch.
Oh my gosh, get a
Nearest
picture.
inch.
Okay, it's cousin.
And you can't stand up and compare yourself to me. That doesn't count. So
I'm taking a
I don't want you
picture.
to measure. I want you to estimate.
All right, we're,
See it,
you
buddy.
It's on my
ready?
face.
Okay, you got it?
Fine.
No, don't tell me. Don't tell me. I'm going to collect the data in a second.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. You got it? Wait, no, do it again.
You guys got an estimate? I want to collect the data now.
Okay.
Because what I want to see, I want to see you again. There we go. I want to collect your data, and I want to see how, a couple things. First of all, I want to see if on average you captured my height, number 1. And number 2, or number 3, if anybody went too high or too low.